Hi there guys, it's Mike from MCQBushcraft here and welcome to another video. And in this video we're going to do a bit of spoon carving. It's not really going to be a tutorial, I'm not going to be showing you how to carve a spoon. It's just something I really enjoy doing. I like working with wood, I like using my tools, I like carving. Especially on days like this where the weather's really nice and you've got the sound of the ocean behind you. It's quite relaxing. And I was working in the coppice the other day and a tree fell and took off a limb from some English yew. And I managed to salvage the yew, and I've got a couple of pieces just here with me, and it's not the most ideal makeup of pieces of wood to carve with, but I should be able to make something interesting out of them. You can see that I've actually sealed the wood with wax. They were cut about a week ago, and by sealing it with wax it's just stopped a lot of the sap from getting out of the wood, but it would take a long time anyway. I just don't want the ends to dry up and crack to kind of limit the amount of material I have to work with. But you can see on this yew here you've got a beautiful deep grain in the core running through all the pieces, and it's really nice, and you've got that sapwood on the outside. So I think I'm going to try and have a go at making something out of these. I've got some tools with me here, a whole variety of tools. Obviously I won't be using all of these, but it's just a basket that I sort of use when I'm carving. There's a lot of different tools in there that I might call upon. But I have a piece just here. This is a bit big actually, and it's a real shame that this bit got cut off. Unfortunately it got cut before I got there, but really what I wanted to do was make something like this, like a soup server type spoon, basically a ladle, and it would be like that within the branch. So the branch would come up here, you'd have that bowl in there, and you'd have some really interesting grain structure as well. It can be a bit tricky carving things like that, but it's a really interesting and fun thing to do, and you've just got to go for it. But unfortunately at the top there we've got two limbs, and it'll just be a bit of a challenge really to get the results I'm looking for out of that. Might be something I tackle at a later date. We have a nice small bit here, something similar going on at the bottom, and I think I'm going to try and make something out of that. It's not the best option, but curiosity is really getting me, and I just want to give it a go. Just want to see what happens, and I want to see what's in there, because it might be really nice. You just don't know, and you just have to go for it. So I think I'm going to give that a go. That's looking alright in there. The grain's definitely nice. But we'll chop this part off here, and then we should be ready to go. Yeah, that piece there would be pretty good actually. A few knots and things, but you can work with that. But there we go, that's the piece we're looking at. Not sure how that will turn out, but it'll certainly be a quirky looking thing if I can actually get it to form properly. But let's see how we get on. This setup I'm using here is not ideal at all. It's just what I could fit in the back of the truck and bring out here. I'm in quite a desolated area, so there's no real chance of having a workshop or a proper spoon carving tump or station to actually work with. But that's the thing really, I don't generally draw out my spoons. I just quite like to look at a piece of wood and just create something. I mean, this is one of my favourite spoons, just created from a piece of cherry. It was really not a very particularly nice piece of cherry, but it turned out to be a really nice salad spoon. It really didn't take too much to put it out. I mean, cherry's a lot softer than you, so it comes along a lot quicker, but I can't imagine this being the most elegant of spoons. We could certainly scale down this handle and make something more in proportion, but it could be a nice priest for putting fish out of their misery when I go fishing. Anyway. I'm going to have to take that down a bit more as well. It'll be a nice little soup server then. It'll certainly have some character to it. I'll remember it because it's been a horrible bit of wood to work with. The reason I have to work towards myself like this is you always have to really adhere to the direction of the grain, and this is why these types of cuts are invented. If I cut this way, what will happen is I'll be cutting into the grain and it will just fray. You always have to work against the grain, and obviously there being very little to hold that end, my control would be really poor. So working this way is a really nice way of working. So that's kind of what we've ended up with so far. It's definitely not the most elegant looking spoon. You can see that springy yew there, that sapwood on the outside. Really nice. But now the hard part, which is making the bowl, and you've got some really hard wood in there, and I'm going to have to gouge that out. So hopefully I'll warm up a bit. To start the bowl I'm going to use a scorp, very good tool, mounted on both sides, so it's very stiff and quite rigid. It means you can get a lot of power down and really gouge out material. This is made by a chap called Lee Stoffer, a spoon carver. I've spent a bit of time with Lee. He's a really skilled spoon carver, and the actual head was forged by Nick Westerman, so it's a really nice tool actually. I'm going to start off with this one. It's got a little bit more reach, this one, but less rigid. So now it's bowled out a little bit, you can start to make some progress and put a bit of power down and remove a bit of material. So we got there in the end, the bowl's carved, we've got a nice handle there that thickens up. We can take some soup and pour it, but it's not finished yet. In fact, at this point I'm actually going to leave it for a while, maybe for a couple of days, even longer, because I want the wood to harden up, I want all the sap to come out, the wood to harden, and then it'll be a little bit different to work with, it'll be a bit harder, and then I'll finish off this base plate here and then oil it. So we will come back to this at a later stage, but I was carving with the spoon knife, this one here, this scorp, and literally just took the centre of my thumb out, which wasn't too pleasant, so I had to run and get the med kit, get that sorted. So my ability to carve is somewhat affected at this point anyway, but I think that was the spoon telling me to stop and signalling the end of this experience. But there we go, I certainly won't forget this one. So what we'll do is we'll come back to this when all the saps come out and we'll finish it off, and you can see what it will look like when it's finished, because obviously all around the base here it's a little bit rough and ready, it needs a little bit of work, and yeah, I think it can look a lot nicer than that. But come a long way from our horrible bit of wood that we started with, and we actually made something work from it, which was nice. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not really a tutorial, just a bit of an experience, me sitting here carving on a nice day by the coastline, and I hope you liked it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon in another one. Take care guys, I'll see you again.